Alright guys, welcome to a new video. Long time no see, has been a while since I made the last video, but I've been working on the game and I thought it would be a good opportunity to show you guys the updates. A lot has changed. I did some major changes. As you can see in the background, you have now we now have a 2D game. So our game All Out War now has become a 2D game. It's not 3D anymore. But before we get into that, let me explain you guys the sad story. Well, as you guys may remember, in the past this was the original game from the previous video, All Out War in 3D with all those units, and I was enjoying it. I really liked it. The thing I liked it the most was the laser effects and all that, because I really wanted to go for that Star Wars Battlefront and the Clone Wars vibe, that some had clones against the droids, and I kind of achieved that, and I'm happy that I did it. Yeah, and I think it looks cool. And now that I'm looking back at it, it makes me kind of sad that I had to revert it to 2D, but it really does create this whole futuristic war environment. And I was also even working on the unit builder prototype, but it also kind of worked. I thought the idea was cool, but yeah, it's kind of unformatted, but you can choose different unit types and you can change their stats, and it changed their costs automatically, and you can change their gun. I even worked after that. I did a new build where we had this 3D spatial sphere where the units walked around instead of a flat plane. But here is where I really started to encounter the problems. I really do realize now that 3D is much harder than 2D games. I did Delta Vector in the past, which is the game. It's launched. You can find it on Steam. But and it was okay. I mean, it was hard. Doing games is hard, but it was possible. It was doable. But I realized that 3D games is just a whole new level, 10 times harder. And I started to find too many bugs, and I didn't even get to the part where I would actually model units and model the environment. It's all just placeholders, cylinders over here. And it really started to demotivate me and scare me, in the sense that I really don't think I'm ready for 3D yet. And yeah, so basically the reason is that 3D is too hard. 3D is too hard for me at the moment. I want to finish the game, and I'm pretty sure that if I kept doing it in 3D, I wouldn't ever finish it. With that said, let's forget the past. Let's forget the sad news, and let's focus on the future. And the future is 2D. So yeah, with that said, let's focus on showing the new game. There has been many changes on top of the 2D, and I really want to show you guys. Keep in mind, it's a very early build. I had to do it all again from scratch from the beginning, so I'm starting over again. So the game is much less advanced than the 3D version, but I believe that in the long run, it will allow me to actually finish the game eventually and not getting stuck and have this second game of mine never being released. So let's go. I'll start actually showing the game right now. It begins with this being your base. Again, guys, keep in mind that this is very early build, so all is basically placeholder images. The UI needs to be improved. As you can see, we have this blue-black background, which shouldn't exist, and a stock image as my beach background, but again, all early days. But the game begins with your units spawning here in the base, and here you can see already the first difference. So we won't be doing something futuristic, Clone Wars, Star Wars anymore. It's now going to be a game about ants and insects. And so the idea is that I was observing this game from the top-down perspective and trying to do it laser and war and futuristic. But then I realized how much they looked like ants. They used to be just like small circles. And I really like to observe ants and insects and David Attenborough documentaries about nature, and so I thought maybe it would be interesting to mix a game about strategy and war with ant colony observation. How does it work? So your ants, your units, whatever, they spawn from the base here, and they try to capture the command points, which for now are the triangles. The command points make you generate more points per second, and the more points per second that you generate, the more units you are able to spawn, and the more units you're able to spawn, the more command points you can capture. And so as you can see here, at the moment we are generating 30 points per second, while our enemy is generating 24 points per second, so we're probably doing better than them. Then we also have the fog of war. So as you can see, these parts that are grayed out over here, they need to be discovered by each team. Each team needs to discover their own fog of war, and so the ants will try to spread out and look for more command points to capture, so that they can generate more points. So around the base here we already have quite a few command points, around 11. And then here we found out a command point that the enemy already captured, and so as you can see, the units here are trying to capture that command point. We can also see it from the enemy perspective. So here's what the enemy team actually discovered. So he's going more to a, actually he's doing quite well on the scouting part. But so yeah, that's the main idea that we're going here. Different types of insects and different types of ants that explore this battlefield, capture command points. Something that is very important for this game, just like the old 3D version, is that I really don't want the player to control the actual units. I want them to think by themselves. The player does control the strategy. So for example, here we have on the bottom right the types of units that the player can spawn. So for now we're spawning 85% of the basic attacker, 5% of the tank, which costs 300, which is a lot. Then we also have 7% scout, and that's basically the strategy of the player. He can choose to have more basic units to spread out more, or he can choose to spawn more tanks, which are very expensive and slow, but if you get a lot of them together, they are basically unstoppable. Or if you're in the beginning of the game, you can have a lot of scouts, which will help out your team to know where command points are. And so that's the kind of strategy that I want the player to have, but I don't want the player to actually control any units. The units will control them by themselves. Here, as you guys can see, we have the tank unit, which is a bug. I want to show you guys also the scouting mechanic. Let's reset the game. And so for example, let's start and have a lot of scouts. This is a basic attacker unit, but we should spawn a scout unit pretty soon. Yeah, so for some reason it wanted to spawn a tank unit. It was already in the queue to spawn. But so these are the spawn units. They are a bit faster, but they don't really attack. They have very little attack damage. But as you can see, they are very helpful for you to explore the map, find command points. Okay, so we found our first command point over here, and now we're gonna switch to full attacker mode. So we're gonna start spawning attackers so that they actually capture the command points. Capturing command points is the key thing for you to win the game. Yeah, as you can see here, the scouts are scouting the map and finding command points, which then the attacker ants will capture. Let's see a real live demonstration of capture. Ha! It's captured. Now it's ours. In the future, I want to have 20-30 unit types, because most of the strategy of the player will be selecting different types of units. But another unit that we have is the builder, and so the builder is supposed to be this unit that goes to command points and upgrades them. And so here we have a level 1 command point which generates 2 points per second. But we are spawning here some builder units, and as you can see, they are heading into the friendly command points to upgrade them. They can go from level 1 to level 5, and then in level 5 the command point sometimes spawns some units, it shoots enemies, and it generates more points, so it's very important to upgrade. As you can see, now it's level 2, 2.4 points per second. Maybe now it's gonna go level 3, 4 points per second. So it's also very important to upgrade your command points. But now we have a problem. since we focus so much in scouts in the beginning, and now we're focusing so much on the builder, the enemy has many more attacking units than we do, and he's gonna start taking over our bases, because if you invest too much in the beginning in infrastructure instead of attacking units, then the enemy gets you. But if you only focus on attacking units and you don't build infrastructure, and then an enemy does, he may get you, because in the long run he'll have more points and so on. So as you can see, a level 5 CP generates 8 points per second, which is basically 4 level 1 CPs. It also shoots enemies, so it's basically a defensive structure and all that. But yeah, that's basically the game. That's basically what I'm doing right now. Starting from scratch, there's a lot of things to do. I really want to make these are just placeholder ants that I downloaded from the internet, but I want to draw them myself, animate them, create many different types of units. Yeah, I think it could be a cool game about ant wars. And finally, last thing that I want to show you guys is that we're now going to have power-ups, which is also a way for the player to interact with the game, since it doesn't control the units. So for example, you have the radar, and you can click somewhere in the map and it scouts that area. All of this costs XP, which you get by losing units or killing enemy units and so on. Then you have the airstrike, which I'm very proud was very difficult to do, but you select a number of planes to hit bombs in a specific part. Just let me, here they are. So you drop bombs from planes. Since it's going to be insect related, I want maybe some wasps to drop chemical bombs, something like that. Then we have these 3: haste, rage and resistance, which is buffs to the units. Haste makes the units move faster for some seconds, rage makes them do more damage for some seconds, and resistance makes them have more health for some seconds. Then we have the Spec Ops one. This one is pretty cool. Let me reset the game to show you guys. I think it's gonna be easier to show. Spec Ops. So this is like you drop, instead of bombs, you drop a set number of units in the map. Like Black Ops units that you drop. This is very OP. Spec Ops needs to be very expensive. And lastly, you also have pheromones. So pheromones, the idea is that the pheromones will make the units prioritize that specific area. So if we, let's say, used pheromones over here, this would make scouts really want to scout this area. If we do pheromones in this command point, it will make the units want to capture it more than the others. Basically, if you think about it, the ants, all ants are controlled by pheromones, right? And so it's a way also for the player to kind of influence the units a bit. You're not necessarily controlling them, but you're saying, oh hey, look, that target is a priority, and so on. And yeah, in the future we'll have more and more power-ups. The player will be able to unlock them and select which ones he wants to take to battle. Some of them are going to be better in the early game, some of them will be better in the late game. Many more unit types, many more power types, much more polish, make the game look much better, which is something that I can do in 2D. I can make this look much better in 2D, but I can't make it look better in 3D, so yeah, I'm excited. I'm progressing very fast. It's much more intuitive for me to do it in 2D. Everything is simpler. I'm excited. I think this has a strong future. And maybe, who knows, once I become a more experienced game maker, one day maybe I'll be able to do a 3D game. But yeah, sometimes you have to accept that you're not ready for some things, and that's fine. And I'm just changing, and I'm doing now a 2D Ant War game. Thank you for watching. If you watched until here, I have a final request. As I said in the beginning of the video, I have already launched another game, which is called Delta Vector. It's a turn-based racing game. I like it a lot. It's very innovative. I did it for fun, but in the end, I'm very proud of it. So yeah, check it out. You might like it. There's a Steam page for it, and if you really actually play it and like it, leave a review and you will make my day. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Let's just drop a final airstrike on this, guys. Thank you.